right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Back on Stage Live. I'm your host, Reuben Avery, and this is the live cast where we discuss all things music in the context of your career as a working musician or band leader. So this is an open forum where musicians and band leaders come together to share their experiences and expertise. The goal really here is for everyone to benefit from our collective knowledge and more efficiently grow our music businesses. After all, none of us chose a career in live performance to spend all our days in front of a computer sending emails. We're entertainers because we love entertaining, so let's build each other up, take ourselves out of the dark ages, and move ourselves toward a brighter future together where we all perform way more, make a lot more money, and do a lot less boring, tedious admin work. So if you're already a member of the Back on Stage community because you use our software to manage your music project, welcome back. And if you're not using Back on Stage yet, welcome to you as well. I encourage you to head over to backonstageapp.com to check us out and get started on our 30-day free trial, as we'd love to see you growing your music business with our tools. I will say the most bands that switch over to us save at least 3 hours of admin work on every booking, which hugely increases their gig capacity and revenue. So we'd love to see you get more gigs that way. They also save thousands of dollars every year on their software costs and are easily able to take 5 to 10 times more bookings without breaking a sweat. So come check us out and see how you can stress less and gig more. So as I said earlier, this is intended to be an open dialogue. So if you're joining us for the first time, please click on the join button underneath my face here so that you can join our fan spotlight section below and so that I can invite you on stage to share your ideas if you're comfortable doing so. You can also post freely in the chat section off to the right-hand side there if you've got questions for myself or my guest today as we're going about doing this. So I'll also mention we're recording today's session, so if you miss any part of it and want to catch up on anything you've missed, you can head over to backonstageapp.com and click on the live button at the top, and you can find this recording there as well as all of our past sessions for your enjoyment as well. Awesome. So today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Vinny Ribas. He is a seasoned veteran with over 6 decades of diverse experience in the music world. As the CEO of Indie Connect and the visionary founder of Cartney.com, Vinny has worn many hats, including artist manager, consultant, performer, songwriter, booking agent, producer, studio owner, author, and speaker. His passion for empowering artists led him to create Cartney.com, which is a central hub of knowledge for anyone in the music industry. It features a vast library of over 150 video courses featuring how-to interviews from global industry professionals. So Vinny's dedication to providing accurate, relevant, and timely answers to the music community's most pressing questions has made Cartney.com an indispensable resource for aspiring and established musicians alike. So I'm super excited to have Vinny joining us today, and I'm going to invite him to the stage with me now. Vinny, you should see a notice there, and you can jump up on stage with me. Hello, hello. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How are you? Thanks for having me on here.
I'm great as well. Thanks for coming to the show. Welcome. I'm going to put you on the spot here to get us started, but do you have an inspirational quote or piece of advice that motivates or inspires you that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think the most inspirational thing that I can say at this point is that, well, I wouldn't call it inspirational, but what I base everything on is that most artists are not successful just because they don't know what's available to them. And so knowledge is king. If you know how the industry works, you can find your way around it. But for most people, they just don't know what kind of gigs are available, what kind of tools are available. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So it's not quite an inspirational quote, but it's kind of the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is because people just don't have the knowledge. They have the talent, they have the skill, they just don't have the knowledge.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, it's such a huge complex web of stuff to navigate. And I think even if you are a seasoned pro, there's still so much more to learn. And then you add to that it's changing all the time. So it's it's not an easy nut to crack or to keep up with. But that's obviously why you're doing what you're doing, which is very awesome. So I'm super excited to chat with you today about it. But yeah, let's wind back to the beginning then. So Cartney.com, what sort of was the moment or experience that sort of sparked the idea for this from you, and how did you come up with the name as well?
Well, I always felt like I was a teacher at heart, and I've been coaching. I've coached over 1,000 artists, and I manage artists. And about 2 years ago, I realized, well, actually about 3 years ago, I realized that they all had the same questions, the same challenges, the same problems. And I tried to build this, like my management company is called Indie Connect. And so I tried to build Indie Connect TV using YouTube videos. Basically, I had my list of questions that needed to be answered, and I tried to find videos that would answer the questions, videos that were relevant, up to date, videos that weren't all sales pitch. Couldn't
Mm.
find them. Couldn't find them. There were so many videos that I could not get answers to without going through maybe a 2 hour talk at a conference to find that little nugget of 5 minutes that they talked about this topic. And so that's when I just decided that I don't have all the answers, but I was able to put a list of 750 questions together that artists have been asking me. And so I figured I have enough of a network to go out and get the answers. And so that's how it started. It was basically, just knowing that there was no central resource to go to when you just had a simple question about how do I copyright my song, or how do I get my first gig, or what does a contract look like, or anything like that. And as far as the name is concerned, I was trying to think of a good name, and I happened to come across a Paul McCartney video while I was doing it. And I said, Cartney. And I looked it up, and nobody had the domain. So it doesn't mean anything other than that's my favorite songwriter, and I wanted to honor him.
Well, that means a lot, I think. That's a very cool sort of tribute to somebody who is, I agree, a very great songwriter and a prolific person of live music in general. So that's a really cool name. Wow. So the thing that really jumped out at me there was 750 questions that you'd come up with talking to your artist. That's an overwhelming amount. But how long did it take you to collect that list of 750 questions?
A couple of days. I mean, it really, I brainstormed with my interns. So all the questions that they have, because they're artists and everything. And we stopped at 750. We said, there's enough here to build a platform on. There definitely is. And then I started, listing out all the people that I knew in the industry, and there was over 800. And so I figured I've got enough of a network to be able to do this. And so, I want to do separate ones on all the different careers in the music industry. I don't know all the careers. I've never been on a major tour, or I've never worked on an orchestra or something like that. But I stopped at 300 careers that we just came up with off the top of our heads, and said, okay, this is another whole segment we're going to have to build out. So I mean, there's so much that you sometimes it's what you need to know, and sometimes it's just it would be really beneficial if you just knew this. This is just like using your app. It would save you time. It would save you money. There are little tips and tricks, and that's kind of what I want to share.
Yeah. No, it's what I love about what you're doing is that the universities out there that prepare us to play instruments really well, maybe even can teach us how to run a business well. Like this is all the stuff that's not being taught there, and that you really just have to learn through doing and by knowing people and getting into the industry. And I think what you're doing is a really, really great thing for the music world in general, because I've had the idea to do it, and I'm sure so many other people have as well. But it's like, ideas are cheap, and execution is really where it comes, where things really come down to hit the pavement there. And you're really making that happen. So it's quite incredible what you've done so far. And this was before AI, right? Your 750 brainstorm that wasn't using a robot. So
but we definitely use AI now to, like, when we contact a speaker and we come up with the topics, we will go to AI to come up with some of the questions that we should be asking, just so that we don't miss anything. That's the one comment that we've gotten about the videos, is that they're straight to the point. We don't go off on any tangents or anything like that. The tangents are edited out, and it's very practical, extremely practical information.
Yeah, that's great.
From people who are, some of the people that are on here are at the top of the list on, as far as what they do in the industry. and they're just giving practical advice. And this is the way it actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I
that's
love
great.
that. The industry
Yeah,
came out of
likewise. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm excited to show people. We're going to do a little demo in a second, show people around some of these the videos and courses you've got up there. But talk to me about some of the challenges you faced getting this concept together. Because, like I said, I mean, I've had this idea for a while. I'm sure other people have as well. But it's incredibly challenging. And as you said, I mean, 750 questions to get answers for from different industry experts who have those answers. Like, I can only imagine like the amount of complexity that goes into making something like this actually come together, and getting all these videos and getting all these interviews and lining all that up and editing it all, and like, and building it into a website and choosing a platform and all this. Like, how do you even start? What are some of the challenges you faced, and how do you overcome those?
Well, I first built it on WordPress because that's what I knew. That's what I used for my for Indie Connect for the management company, and I've built other sites on WordPress. It didn't take long to find out that I didn't know enough about WordPress to make it work. It was a shame. I had a good site. It was a really good demo to show people what the vision was. But once once I moved over to a e-learning platform with where everything is template based, and it became really easy to do the website side of things. Um, I started out wanting to have a small studio in Nashville where we could do live recording and everything. Realized that that was not practical from a financial standpoint. Found some software online that I can get really good videos. As long as people have a halfway decent connection, I can get really good videos. So we started doing it that way. I got interns to help me with the editing. Literally, in the beginning, I had to be the editor, but I've never edited a video.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Premiere and I got on YouTube and I just started watching and taught myself enough to build a template for the videos. I don't know anything else. I don't want to know anything else, but I can teach somebody that part of it. And
Yeah.
so now I've got people that are helping to expand that and adding other touches to it. But, it started out as definitely a labor of love
Mm.
because I knew that it would take a long time to get it going. We've been going 2 years. We're at 150 videos right now, 157. I've got 15 in the can that need to be edited. Um, and I record new ones every week. I just recorded an opera singer talking about, things that you can do with a classical voice, and somebody who does voiceovers, because a lot of musicians have tremendous voices. And so there's another opportunity to make money.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah, everything is practical, and just figuring out the system of being able to uh, explain what we're doing. Number one, but then the logistics of recording and editing and getting it onto the website took a long time
Mm.
to get it down to a science. Now it's down to a science, so it can go faster.
Yeah, awesome. How long does it take you on average to sort of start to finish put one of these little courses together now?
Well, the videos themselves, will take about a half hour to find the questions and put the questions together and get that to them. The videos are usually around 20 minutes long. Some are a little bit longer and some are shorter, but they're usually around 20 minutes. I'd say the editing is 3 hours. Um, and because I take myself out of the picture and I re-record voiceovers. That way,
Mm.
the speaker can feel free to talk any way they want to, and then I just edit my voice in as needed, and that seems to be working well.
Okay.
But then we also provide the transcript and we provide the audio, so we make sure that the transcript matches the vocals, what matches what's being said and everything. So probably altogether 10 to 12 hours with everything.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's still pretty efficient, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But
Thank
yeah, I
God for
mean,
interns.
uh, no kidding. Yeah.
Thank
So
God.
you're at well over 2,000 hours at least getting all those courses together, and I know how
Oh,
challenging
yeah.
it can be to build a platform online and search for the right infrastructure and make all that
Mhm.
happen and plunk around in something that doesn't work for a while before you move on to the next. So
Absolutely.
yeah, well, kudos for you for sticking with it and getting this far. Um, What about like, so obviously there are other platforms that do a lot of video content and help musicians grow. Obviously YouTube. I don't know if Vimeo is really a place people find that stuff, but plenty of websites that do video stuff. How do you sort of set yourself apart from those? And so what are the unique benefits that Cartney offers to musicians and band leaders that you don't find in these other places?
Well, the main thing is when you look for any kind of content on Vimeo or YouTube or anything like that, a lot of times you find stuff that's old, it's outdated. We guarantee that the information that we're giving is relevant. We go back over the list of videos and say, okay, what could be updated on this? Maybe we have to put a note on there. This was recorded, in 2022, and things might have changed. So contact the speaker. Like for how do you tour COVID, or how do you tour China, because COVID rules were still in effect when we recorded it. So we make sure that everything is accurate, and we take down things that are not accurate. So the biggest thing with us is that everything that you find is going to be relevant, and it's going to be accurate. Now, it doesn't mean it's the only way to do things. And a lot of times I'll have several videos on the same topic coming from different people. How do you promote your release? People have different ideas behind that. But the bottom line is that it's all relevant. It's by people who are active in the industry doing it, not somebody who's just reading about it and then talking about it. And that's why I'm not the expert, because I learn so much from these videos. It's amazing how much I learn. Because we're dealing with people who do it day in and day out, and that's the critical thing. And so it's not just book knowledge that's being shared; it's practical knowledge.
Yeah, no kidding. I imagine if one day we can just sort of plug into each other's brains and download each other's information, I mean, you're going to be the guy to go to with having done all these interviews.
Your videos are a perfect example. I mean, we talked about how to play a wedding and how to book a wedding. You're not going to find the detailed information that we went through on how to play a wedding on YouTube. You're just not. I've looked, and it's not there. So we are hitting those things, a lot of things that people are not touching on, or they might touch on in the middle of something else. Not in the middle of a longer talk, but we're separating it. You have this particular question, here's your answer. This particular question, here's your answer. And so you don't have to go searching through 1,000 things to find what you need.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so you're sort of dividing it all into little bite-sized chunks that whatever bite it is you need today, you can find it. Yeah, awesome. So in terms of sort of curating that whole list, like obviously that coming up with 750 questions is a big enough task, but how do you sort of break that down and prioritize and figure out, like, how pertinent are these questions? Are people going to actually care about this? Like, are you actually going to SEO engines and trying to figure out what people are already looking for? Or are you just like, no, this is what people are asking me and I'm going to answer that and hope for the best?
Some of it is asking the experts what people are asking them. So finding out what it is, if it's not something I've experienced, I can't be that smart in asking the right questions. So then we'll go online and look for information. But like when we did yours, I've played a lot of weddings. I played, tons of weddings. So I could talk that language with you. But a lot of times I can't. If I'm talking to a producer, I can't speak that language. That's not my area of expertise. So I do have to go and get, some other source to find the questions and everything.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. For those of you who are catching up to speed here, Vinny and I did a little interview a few months ago on sort of playing weddings and all the components that sort of go into making that a successful part of your business. So if you want to check that out, that is on the Cartney.com library. So feel free to go sign up. In fact, we're going to share a little link here in a second for signing up to Cartney. So if you want to go and check that out, it's what is the cost now, Vinny, for your platform for an average person to sign up?
45 of the videos are free. So all the basic information that people need, that's free. How do I set up an EPK? How do I get my first gigs? I mean, all of that is free. But then it's $12 a month or $119 a year.
Awesome. That's amazing. Such great value. So yeah, everybody go check out Cartney.com, get signed up there. We're going to do a little demo here in a moment to show you around it as well. But value for money. I mean, if this had been around 20 years ago when I was getting my start, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So I wish it had, but for you younger folk out there, definitely take advantage of that. Can you share, Vinny, are there any sort of success stories that you know about from artists that have used your videos in your platform yet that you can share? And I mean, I know you're early stages, so maybe you don't have anything jumping out yet, which is totally okay too. But yeah, just curious if there's anybody that's come to you and had an experience of using your content and doing better as a result.
Yeah, no, I have quite a few. There's a lot of people that I direct to a certain video or something, when they have a question. This is a big part of the fact that, I do a lot of coaching and I don't have to coach as much when I can send somebody to the site and say, just watch this video. So that works out great. But definitely on getting gigs is the one that I get the most feedback on, that people didn't know how to price themselves. They didn't know how to pitch their act and everything. And so that's been really valuable for people. And I've had several people just, say that solved everything. They just, it clarified how I should be doing this and why I wasn't getting gigs before.
Awesome. Wow. Is that one of the free videos or that's when you pay for
it? Yeah. That's basic information.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, come on, everybody, go get signed up for that.
So
amazing. Well, let's jump into a little demo here. I've got the site pulled up on my computer here, so I'm going to switch over to that screen and see if we can make this work for everybody. So I know it's going to be a little small there on my chunk of the screen, but I can zoom in here as well. So when you log in here, a very nice interface. You see all the courses here right at the top, and you can just kind of enroll in whatever it is you feel that you need to learn about today. Obviously, with there being so much, I mean, Vinny, where would you suggest people get started, or how do they navigate this? I mean, this is like, I want to know everything, but what's the best place to begin?
So if you go to the videos tab on top,
okay, I think my internet's a little slow today for some reason, but we're getting there.
I know the feeling.
Okay, that's going to take a little second. So maybe while there it is. I think we got it. Okay, videos. Okay.
So one of the reasons that I really like this platform is because of the options it gives you to find what you want to find. So you can search. You can see on there, you can search by, if you know who the speaker is, you can search by the topic. So if you go into categories, you can see all the different categories that are there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I typed in my name. They're the wedding videos we did together.
Mm-hmm.
So I can also search popular certificate. Okay, so you got some certificates.
Yeah, we're not giving certificates on anything right now.
Okay, cool.
It's not that kind of a e-learning, but you can go by, by who the speaker is.
Quality sounding recording studio. Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. So I can just come in here, type in my question. If I wanted to,
yeah, pretty much the best way to do that. The typing in usually goes if you know exactly what the topic is. Okay. But if you go under categories.
So here, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now you've got a list of all the different categories that we have videos in, and it's easier to find it there because if you pick branding or booking and you look at what's on booking, there's probably 15 videos or so.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was checking out these ones earlier, actually. How can I improve my chances of getting gigs? How do I, get more fans and paying gigs? Like lots of great stuff in here. So I got to get into watching more of these myself. I think where my band's trying to figure out how we can play some more these days too. So I'm sure everybody is. I know people coming to our platform are constantly struggling with marketing and getting gigs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, perfect stuff to know about in there. That's great. Um, let's see, what else did I want to ask you about in here? So yeah, I mean, when we were chatting a few weeks ago, you mentioned this community aspect, which is really cool as well. There's sort of a social network component in here. So people can go there and actually talk about the courses they're working in. And I understand that so for example, if you came to the course that we did together on how to book your band for weddings, I come into here, there's even a little discuss section on the right or on the left-hand side here where you can post messages and chat
Mm-hmm.
with. There's me starting to talk about me. um, so yeah, lots of great stuff in here, which I really like, and I intend to use
we,
this a lot more myself soon. So
we also have some discounts, partner discounts and stuff like that you can get. Um, there's a blog as well that has some information on it. So we're trying to make it as robust as possible and not charge for everything. We do have costs, obviously, but the whole goal is to make it really easy for you to figure out, okay, what's the next step that I need to take. So either figure out what the next step is, or I know what the next step is. Let me just make sure I'm doing it right.
mm,
And I should mention that one of my big uh, reasons for doing this is I've seen too many people get scammed and ripped off. I've got some horror stories. And so we are really big on putting videos together on how not to get ripped off by a producer, by a publisher, by a publicist, by buying a directory of names. I mean,
mm,
just I'm trying to go down the whole list of places by a fake A&R person. Um, what to look for. How do you know? How do you check on somebody's reputation?
mm. Well,
It's
I'd love
really
to. I mean, stories are the best way to learn sometimes. But could you share one of these horror stories? Maybe the worst horror story you've got, and how that might have been prevented, having used your knowledge in Cartney.
well. There's a gentleman that Lacey Phillips is his name. He goes by the Uncle Earl, and he talked about now he's been in the industry for many years, probably 30 years, 40 years, maybe. He grew up in a entertainment family, and so he's been a producer, choreographer, dancer. He's a singer, just a whole bunch of stuff. But he had somebody who seemed very reputable promise him that they could get him a record deal. And uh, one of the things they did was they set up a showcase, and the guy was going to bring all these record labels down. So he actually put a showcase together, hired his band, hired the venue. They charged $25 for a ticket. They packed the place, and the guy took off with all the money, and there were no record label people there at all. He said, and that was just one of the things that the guy had promised that hadn't come through. So altogether, he was out about 10 grand from somebody who just disappeared off the face of the earth, is out there scamming somebody else right now.
Oh, that's
So
terrible.
So knowing um, how to do your research on somebody, knowing, especially when you don't know anybody to ask, how do you find out, what somebody's reputation is, and knowing what questions to ask them, and
Mm,
how to know whether the references they're giving you are real. I mean, just those kind of really pointed things. All the things that a fake record label executive or an A&R person is going to say to you.
mm,
Things that should immediately be red flags. We go through a whole list of red flags. So
mm,
and it's the same thing with producers, and producers are famous for trying to steal intellectual property. I own the masters. You got to buy the masters from me now, or I own a piece of your song and everything, because nothing's in writing. There's no agreement. So going over all of that, and all the questions to ask, it's so critical. People just
yeah.
get ripped off left and right.
Yeah, that's a pretty terrible story, and that's a lot of money to be out, especially when you're trying to get your project off the ground and you work really hard to fill a venue like that. It's not an easy thing to do. Um,
One of, yeah, one of the things that that happened to, well, I used to run networking meetings for the music industry. I still run them, but not as much. But a couple came in and they were just out of college, and he was a tennis pro and she was a singer, and she was beautiful and she was very talented. Um, but they had just moved to Nashville. They found somebody who was a producer, said they could produce an EP for them, charged them $25,000 for 5 songs, which was a lot of money. They had
mhm.
it on credit cards. The producer picked out the songs. The songs were good, but one of the songs had never been cleared by the publisher, so they didn't have the right to be the first one to record and release it. So they had 1,000 CDs that they weren't allowed to do anything with.
Mm. Oh no,
25 grand on credit cards,
yeah,
newlyweds.
man.
Just
Yeah, it's a lot of plastic in the garage to not be able to do anything with, man. And I guess they never were able to clear that song for being able to sell it. Hey,
no, nope.
man. Wow, yeah, lots of good insight there. And yeah, those are some pretty hard lessons to learn the hard way when yeah.
Unfortunately, that's why I think that's the biggest part of Cartney to me. That's where my heart is preventing people from making mistakes that cost them money, cost them time, or where they get scammed and they might lose everything. They could lose. You can market yourself to an independent playlist, and Spotify finds out that the playlist is using bots, and you're the one, as well as the playlister, that are going to be banned from Spotify.
Mm,
And you can lose everything that you have on there. Doesn't matter how popular it was. So
wow, really?
you've got to know these things. You've got to know when, anytime you make a move, what are the right things and what are the red flags that you've got
Right.
to be watching out for, especially when you're new in the industry. I've seen parents get ripped off left and right with young kids who are talented, getting their first band together, even going into a music store. I have to do a video on this, but a salesperson is going to sell them a whole bunch of stuff they don't need if the parent's just naive about it and
Mm,
willing to spend money on their kid. So
yeah,
those are the kind of things I'm trying to prevent.
no kidding. Okay, so people got to check out this. Do you have a video on the Spotify thing you just mentioned?
No, that's on the Spotify one. Yeah, I just edited it. It's not listed as a scam video, but it's on releases. And when you're promoting yourself, they talk about that.
Got it. Okay. So we got to check out the Spotify video. We got to check out the list of red flags course, I guess. And
Yeah,
if you're a
the
parent,
scam videos are very easy to see. You can look up category scams, and they'll come up. Um,
hmm, is there one scam you're seeing sort of a lot more than others that just seems so prevalent in your experience?
well, the biggest one is the producers. I've had a lot of people complain about that. Just they didn't put an agreement together, and so the producers trying to milk them. Um,
Mhm.
you know, and just somebody wanted. She did a recording of 5 songs that were just piano and vocal. After she left the studio, like a year later, she went back to them and wanted to get just the piano, so she can have tracks to sing with, and they
Hmm.
wanted to charge her $500 for it.
Hmm.
And it's like
Wow.
that should have been part of your original agreement. You should have had that. Um,
Right.
so it's that kind of stuff. But there's also scams out there that are very um, they're not going to fall under a category.
Hmm.
Like one person told me about the birthday song scam, and it's basically where somebody approaches you and says, "I love your voice." This is usually somebody who's totally unknown. Um, I was wondering if you would write a birthday song for my son. I'll pay you $500. I'll pay you
Hmm.
$200 now and $300 when the song is done. And so they say, sure. I mean, it's money. They're going to do it. Um, and they get the check, and they deposit it, and then they find out that it's $2,000 that was in the check. So the people call up and say, "Oh, just uh, keep 500 and send me a check for 1,500."
Mm.
But then the bank finally comes back and says, "Well, this is a bogus check, the $2,000 check," and so you're out your $1,500. And I've heard this, 3 or 4 people have told me that they've been hit by that and didn't buy into it. But literally this morning, there was a post on the Nashville Music Industry Facebook group, and I approve all the posts that go on there because I own that group. And somebody was actually promoting that. I need somebody to write a song for my son for his birthday, and it's like,
Really, man,
it's a good thing I know, or other people would have been scammed.
Right. Yeah, totally. No, I think I've actually had that scam before too. I think I've received that because that is familiar. Um, yeah, one other one, since we're on the topic of scams now, I'll share one too. I don't know if you've heard this one, but this happens in all types of businesses, but it's similar to the birthday scam in that it involves a chunk of money sort of coming your way, and then you having to divvy out money before the things really happened. But this one was a guy contacted me and said, "Okay, I need a band for I can't remember what it was, an engagement party or his wife's birthday or something. Might have been a wedding. I can't remember. But my band is in Vancouver in Canada, and this gig was going to happen. I think it was in Toronto or something. So it's half the country away. Involved flights, transportation from airport to venue, all this sort of stuff. Would have been a pretty complicated one. But when he reached out and was like, "We're getting married at this venue," I looked up the venue and I was like, "Okay, well, that's all the way in Toronto. Why does this guy want to fly our band all the way out there? We're an event band. You can hire somebody in Toronto for that." But no, he's like, "No, I really love your guys' stuff, but I can't talk on the phone because I'm in the Navy and I'm out on the boats all the time. So basically can only communicate over email." So I'm like, okay, red flag number one is like, this is weird. You got to be able to talk on the phone sometimes. But then after a couple of weeks of communicating, he was like, "Okay, I want you to use this company for transportation, but I'm going to pay you the whole amount that is for your band as well as the transportation, and then I need you to pay for the transportation out of that." And that was feeling really weird to me because I was like, no one ever asked you to pay for their other vendors from your chunk of whatever, right? So at that point, I was like, okay, this just got really weird. I'm going to call this venue and see if they actually have a booking on that date. And I did, and that person was like, "No, we don't have any bookings on that date." And I was like, okay, that's that. And I just stopped communicating with them at that point. But all those little like, we're going to give you a big lump of money and then you give a little bit of it back or give some of it to this person. Like as soon as you have to start moving money on behalf of somebody else, that should be an immediate red flag for anybody. Or I don't know. Yeah. Bitcoin, anything. I feel like
My wife passed a message to me that she works at a university. So this came down on university email with, that somebody was giving away a grand piano. And so, I called about it just out of curiosity. And it's like, yeah, you can have the piano. It'll cost you $600 for the shipping, and we only take Venmo. It's like, I don't think so. So I looked it up online, and it's a very popular scam. So very similar to what you're talking about. And this was just 2 weeks ago. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, the piano mover scam. Yeah, you got to pay to move it, but you can have it for free, but it never shows up. Yeah, lots of that out there. I don't know why people are preying on the musicians. We're already sort of this sort of struggling artist all the time.
They're going to prey on anyone.
Yeah. It's sad. Well, tell me about the future of Cartney. Sort of what's on the horizon for you guys? What are you looking forward to in your developments ahead?
Well, I just got a major sponsor, and I have somebody that's looking to invest in it, and so that's good. Because what my goal is, what I see for the future of Cartney is that, I recognize that things are different in every city. Things are done differently in New York than they are in LA, than they are in London, than they are in Sydney, Australia. And so what I want is to have little teams of people that are doing local interviews with producers, with, bands, with booking agents and stuff like that. And basically have a group of editors and have people that are, good at doing the interviews, but have these little hubs all around the world, and it's all being fed in, so that if you want to go to London and perform, well, here's all the information on the venues. Here's everything that you need to know about the booking agents and how things work and everything. And you don't have to guess at anything. So, a lot of the stuff will cross over, no matter who you are. But like, I have a video on how to tour China by a promoter in China. And I have a video on how to tour Japan. And, they talk about how different things are over there and the culture and how the audience is different. And, in Japan, they're more of a listening audience. They're not going to get rowdy and drunk. And, you have to know these things, and you have to know the system. You have to know how you're going to get paid, how the promoters work and what kind of music works and everything. So if I can get those kind of hubs everywhere, and with really good interviewers, setting it up, everything can be done online. That doesn't, we don't have to have studios everywhere. But then right now it's an invaluable site. There's no question. You can go there and save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars and hours of headache and heartache. But doing it that way would just make it, global, where no matter what you wanted to do, where you wanted to do it, you could do it. I have a great video on how to tour Latin America, but there's so many details that are left out that, he's in there saying, you've got to talk to a promoter about how this works here, because it works differently in Mexico than it does in Colombia or whatever. So that's what I see, that, this becomes the place where anybody who's in the industry, anybody who's making a move for the first time, whatever that is, as simple as marketing my video or getting a new recording or something, that they have a place to go and just find out what the right way to do it is, what's acceptable, and what the red flags are to watch out for, to make sure that you're not getting ripped off or just spending, way more than you need to spend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such an amazing thing that you've got going on. And I really hope a lot of people start using it a lot, because one of the things I come across in our industry that kind of frustrates me, I guess, is that there are so few standards for anything. It's like you can go to music school and learn theory, and you can learn your scales, and you can learn how to play, but then you start approaching venues, and it's like, it must be super frustrating for venues to be on the receiving end of all these musician stuff. It's all different. It's like, go to my Instagram to check out my video. Here's something on my website. Here's this PDF I'm going to send you. Oh, maybe I'm going to come and drop you off a vinyl in your place or whatever. It's just like nothing standardized, and you're just having to rifle through all this stuff to try to find somebody you can put on a stage. So there's that whole side of it. And then there's just like the marketing of ourselves in general, which I know so many musicians really struggle with, just to have something to say, okay, this is what's working for people. This is the best way to do it. This is what spam looks like. This is what, legit businesses do. And this is how a contract should look. And this is how you should invoice. And when you bill them, you should, you use this wording, and make sure you accept credit cards, or like all that kind of stuff, where it's so hard to learn by just doing it, and kind of learning those lessons the hard way. So again, props to you for putting all this together and having the vision to make all this happen, because I'm going to be spending a lot more time here. So, and I hope our users through Back on Stage can kind of begin to experience this as well, and take all their learnings here and help run their music businesses even better, because
that's why we did a video on Back on Stage, so that we can share that, because what you're doing is just as valuable for the people that are in the situation of being band leaders and, booking their wedding band and stuff like that, or private parties, it's invaluable. So we all have our visions, and we all work together, and we will change the industry.
We will. We will. Yeah, well, I'm going to open it. I don't know if we've got anybody who has a question for Vinny here. We've got a few people watching this today. But before we adjourn here, if you want to ask anything to Vinny at all, feel free to post a message in the chat there. I think we've got some leftover questions in the questions tab from our last session, so those aren't for today. But we'll give you a few moments to collect your thoughts there, and if there's anything you want to ask Vinny, please do post that there. And we do have a link in the chat there from Fran to go and sign up at Cartney.com if you want to check out that platform today. And we do also have a little survey that Fran just posted there as well. If you'd like to give us some feedback on what you thought about today's session, we would love to hear from you on that. So yeah, go get signed up on Cartney.com. Vinny, are there any parting words of advice you want to give to people, or encouragement to, what would you say to somebody thinking about giving Cartney a try?
Basically, it's like I said, before you make any move in the industry, at least check to see if we have something on there. We may have a free video on there. And also our free videos are now being moved over to YouTube as well. So you can look up the Cartney YouTube channel, Cartney Online. But our goal is to just make it easier for everybody. And the people that are just getting started, it can be daunting. And so if we can take a little bit of that stress off of you, then we've done our job. And so I just encourage you, use it as a tool. And whether you join or not, get the information that's there in the free videos. That alone will save you from all kinds of heartache.
Amazing. Well, I'm sold, and I'll be there more. So I hope other people join me here. But thank you so much, Vinny, for your time, and it was such a pleasure having you on here and hearing more about your Cartney journey.
I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on Back on Stage Live. We're going to adjourn for today, but we'll see you again here for the next one. Thanks again to Vinny with Cartney.com, and we'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day and happy gigging.